Hello, I'm April Berthine from Internet Retailer, and I will be your moderator for today's webinar. Thank you for joining us. Today we're going to be talking about customer communication tactics. Nowadays there are a lot of different customer communication tactics beyond just email. There's live chat, mobile push notifications, chatbot, text messaging, and many others. Today we are going to talk about what retailers are doing right now with these emerging platforms and how shoppers are engaging with those platforms. We've got a great lineup of speakers for you guys this afternoon. First up will be Internet Retailer Stephanie Kretz, and she will be giving a general overview of the customer communication tactics that online retailers are currently offering, and a look at which platforms shoppers use and don't use. Then I'm going to provide a few examples of retailers that are using these innovation communication channels. And then we will do a live Q&A with Cindy White, who is Senior E-commerce Marketing Manager at Plow and Hearth, and hear more about their customer communication tactics. And then lastly, we'll hear from Chris Savio, Product Marketing Manager at Bold360, who will also provide a case study on customer communication tactics and give us more insights there. Just a few housekeeping notes before we get going. We will take questions at the end of the presentation, but you can ask them at any time using the chat box, which is on the right side of your screen. And you can also use that box to let us know of any technical difficulties, and someone will help you. Also, at this webinar, we are doing a raffle for a giveaway of Internet Retailer's Omnichannel Research Report, which is a $300 value, and we will be randomly selecting 10 listeners. So make sure you stick around to the end to find out if you've won. And with that, I will hand it over to Stephanie to kick things off.
Thanks, April. So my name is Stephanie Kretz from Internet Retailer, and I will be giving, as she said, an overview of some customer service tactics that retailers are using. So customer service isn't limited to just a customer giving a retail salesperson a phone call anymore. It's a lot more technology driven these days, fueled by social media, texting, and artificial intelligence. And some services such as on-site chat, social media messaging, and text messaging can be done with a live customer service representative or, in a lot of cases nowadays, a chatbot. So there's plenty of room for brands and retailers to improve their customer service interactions, as well as to shorten their resolution times by leveraging technologies such as artificial intelligence-powered chatbots, live chat, email, texting, and the list goes on. Recently, LogMeIn did a study called The Impact of Chatbots and AI on the Customer Journey, which is based on a survey of 4,500 consumers who have contacted a brand during the last 6 months with an inquiry or issue that they needed to be resolved. It also surveyed 850 business leaders and organizations in financial services, information technology, retail, travel, and hospitality. And as you can see on the screen, the study found that 83% of consumers have experienced at least one issue when interacting with a brand, and that consumers are 2 times as likely to complain about a product or service than they are to give positive feedback, which is not exactly great news for retailers. And this chart, which is a little tiny, so I will give you more details. It's actually taken from an Internet Retailer and BizRate Insights survey of 1,610 consumers last summer, and it shows some of the main frustrations that consumers have when dealing with customer service with their online retailers. 53% are frustrated by long hold times, and 38% don't want to deal with incompetent service reps. But some of the other consumer pet peeves included a lack of live chat that's unavailable or offline. Maybe if someone has an important shipping question when they're shopping at 1 a.m., and the inability to contact customer service through social media, such as Facebook Messenger. That makes sense given consumers' need for instant gratification. So if they're on the website already, they want to use the option that's the most readily available. And odds are they have social media open either in another tab or on their mobile device in case they want to contact them there. But without those quick and easy options readily available, shoppers are going to get increasingly frustrated by the more hoops they have to jump through. Therefore, retailers need to make choices about the way they wish to interact with their customers and determine how easily they want to make it for them. And along those same lines, retailers and brands want their customers to be satisfied, of course. And no brand wants its name tarnished in reviews or for its loyal customers to turn to competitors that are doing these things correctly. But that's exactly what unhappy customers will do. So 40% of those surveyed in the LogMeIn report said that they'd give a low score in a customer service survey, and 38% would either make a complaint to the brand or turn to a different brand with similar products if their complaint was not answered in a timely manner or solved. And other consumers will even take measures against brands who don't improve their customer service, such as posting negative comments on social media, commenting on a brand's post on social media to try to rally other people to back up their complaint, or even warning their friends and family against using that particular brand. And given this data, it makes sense that 91% of business respondents in the LogMeIn report said their organization is looking to improve customer service engagement, and 38% of those respondents are even planning to use a new solution. However, the report did not really specify the types of solutions they're implementing, but there are a few ideas such as chatbots. So how can retailers and brands better communicate with their consumers? And what are some of the ways that they can better solve customer service issues? Consumers use a variety of avenues to connect with retailers and brands. The telephone still wins out at 46%, according to the LogMeIn survey, and with email following close behind at 40%. Online chat, social media, and chatbots are lagging a bit in use, even though they could deliver the most expedient service when utilized correctly. So what are some of the reasons consumers reach out to customer service? Well, in the report, the most common reason, cited 29% of the time, occurred when they want to make a purchase or a return, and 27% of shoppers contacted customer service to make a complaint. This low percentage wouldn't seem too bad for brands if the consumer's issues were resolved in a timely manner. However, the report found that the average time for a consumer to get their issue resolved was approximately 11 hours, which is 3 times higher than what the surveyed consumers expect it to be. So contacting customer service via telephone or email took the longest average time to get an issue resolved, which was 7 hours for telephone and 18 hours for email, while online chat with a chatbot took about 3 hours on average. And that's a stark contrast to businesses' impression of their customer service offerings, which 80% of them said they provide an excellent or very good experience, and 80% of retailers and businesses are confident their customers would rate the experience in the same way. But unfortunately for these businesses, that's not really the case from the consumer's point of view. And 61% believe that it takes way too long for their issue to be resolved. And 70% of those surveyed believe brands should leverage new technologies such as chatbots to reduce the amount of time that it takes to resolve an inquiry or issue. We live in such an on-demand culture, and because of this, customers expect immediate service when they have a question or issue. And customers don't want to wait on hold or spend time searching websites for information and recommendations. They want their experiences to be fast, easy, and in some cases personalized. And that is where services like chatbots can come in. As I said before, the time it took for chatbots to resolve the issue was about 3 hours, which is not as instant as consumers probably expect it to be considering the technology behind it, but it's certainly faster than email or calling service. 25% of customer service interactions will involve either a virtual assistant or chatbot by 2020, according to a Gartner study. And that's a huge jump from the fact that it was only 2% in 2017. So we're getting there. And according to the LogMeIn study, as you can see, 74% of consumers see the benefits of interacting with chatbots, and 32% believe that leveraging a chatbot in some capacity, either alone or with the assistance of a customer service agent, provides the best results for them. The LogMeIn report says that chatbots are helping customer service teams scale quickly by taking frequently asked questions off the agent's plate, opening them up to spend more time to resolve complicated customer issues, and ultimately improving first call resolution. Retailers can embrace these new technologies to better serve their customers within the context of their business model and customer base. And artificial intelligence has been a component of customer-facing chatbots that help companies manage the influx of inbound customer service inquiries and scale their teams quickly and cost-effectively. Being able to offload these highly repetitive tasks to chatbots provides customers the immediate service they want, well, about 3 hours, which is as immediate as you can get sometimes, so the customer service agents can spend more time on higher value interactions. For example, if there is an apparel retailer who maybe wants to add a personalized design service that's better suited for a real person, while a chatbot handles kind of more FAQ type questions. And it's not just about helping customers with pointed questions anymore. Now, artificial intelligence and chatbots can proactively assist in the discovery and comparison of products, helping move the customer through the journey much more easily and improving conversion rates in some cases. In the LogMeIn survey, 30% of consumers believe chatbots will help them get a quicker resolution to an issue, and 24% believe chatbots give them greater accessibility to support. So artificial intelligence and chatbots are maybe not the be-all, end-all for customer service, but it can certainly help minimize frustrations and save time. Plus, this automation is more responsive than a person taking a call and more reliable since it can be available 24/7, for those middle-of-the-night online shoppers. The LogMeIn report says, while speed is important, it's equally important to not lose the human touch that many consumers still want. Being able to balance speed and personalization will lead to increased customer satisfaction levels, as well as the reputational benefits that follow. So as technology advances, it can be faster, more personalized, and lead to increased satisfaction. And of course, as this technology evolves, we still have to be cognizant of the fact that nothing is perfect. Frustrations will still and always arise among customers, no matter how amazing your customer service is, and doing it right can still take time. But retailers and brands will learn as they adopt technologies to best represent their brands and improve the experiences of their customers. And that's all for me. Back to you, April.
All right. Well, thank you, Stephanie. So now we're going to kind of go into some practical applications of what was just overviewed. So the first case study that we're going to look at is Lamps Plus, and this happened at the end of last year, so December 2018. They implemented a texting program where shoppers could text with store associates. Each store manager or assistant store manager at one of its 37 stores used the company's iPhone during store hours to text with shoppers. And they could ask questions, send photos of their home, to ask about interior design, or ask store associates to send product videos, product photos or videos from the store. And shoppers could find that number to text them within marketing emails, in catalogs, on store pages online, and for shoppers that were geographically located near a store, they would also see an option on the mobile website that reads text store for availability on product detail pages. And the shoppers could also reserve through a text a product for in-store pickup. So Lamps Plus said that since implementing it in these past few months, that the most frequently sent customer texts are about product availability, sizes, colors, and other product design features. And this image here on the screen is an example of that. It also says that it has received thousands of customer text messages per week. And reminder, this was just implemented a few months ago, so that's a pretty large adoption rate. And the number of calls it gets has remained the same. So it's been an added service for them. Text conversations have been typically lasting a few exchanges. Lamps Plus says many shoppers that are texting go on to reserve a product in text or switch to a phone call to actually go and buy it. So they say, the service is convenient for shoppers. Shoppers can respond to text whenever they want. Plus, the conversation is enhanced because they can share photos. And it's also helpful to build that relationship between the store associate and the shopper before they even come into the store. And they also, to kick off this program, they have their employees complete hundreds of online training sessions per year. So the store associates can be knowledgeable about their products and really have a fruitful text conversation. So even though this is a new program for Lamps Plus, it sounds like it's really adding a lot of value for them just in the early stages here. All right, okay, next case study we're going to look at is Kopari, and they are definitely doing some interesting things with, these emerging customer communication channels. So they sell, in case you guys don't know them, coconut-based beauty products, and they have a large base of younger shoppers that are smartphone users. Nearly 2/3 of their traffic is from smartphones, and more than half of their sales are from smartphones. So the retailer wanted a more mobile-focused communication channel because that's where their shoppers were. So it looked to SMS or text marketing. So Kopari sends roughly about 1 message a week, or about 3 to 4 a month, typically about product launches, sale items, product education, its auto replenishment service, and its refer a friend contest. The program so far has been a success. The texts have more than a 1/3 click-through rate, which is someone who opens the text and then clicks through to the website. So you can imagine many more people are still just opening that message in their texting app and getting that brand awareness, even if they're not clicking through to the website. Last we checked with Kopari, they attributed 14% of their web revenue to text message marketing, and they pointed to the program as one of the reasons why its smartphone sales now have made up a larger portion of their e-commerce sales. Part of that success, Kopari says, is because the texts are providing value to its shoppers. It isn't bombarding shoppers with messages. It is providing them with relevant information. And some merchants listening today may think texting is just a nice-to-have option, but people really do prefer email. And that may be the case for some customers, but other shoppers, they may actually prefer a text. Kopari actually surveyed its loyalty program members, and 25% of them said they preferred SMS as their form of communication from the brand, which, I mean, 1/4 of your shoppers, that's not an insignificant amount. All right, PureFormulas is another merchant that is dabbling with this new age customer communication. In case you don't know them, they're an online merchant that sells nutrition supplements. And just in March, so this month, they started using artificial intelligence that uses natural language to help better automate their digital communication channels, specifically for their customer service chatbot using SMS and Facebook Messenger. PureFormulas hasn't had this enhanced chat tool too long, but it says it sent shoppers a survey after using the product, and shoppers rated it and described their overall satisfaction. In just a few weeks in having it, 86% of shoppers have rated it as a positive experience, which PureFormulas is happy with and is confident after tweaking the product even more that satisfaction rate will go up. TeePublic is another retailer that is using text messaging to communicate with their shoppers. It initially started a text marketing program because, like Kopari, it knew its shoppers were very mobile, and it wanted to boost mobile sales and wanted to market to these shoppers in a mobile way. After a year with its program, mobile sales did increase. Its open rates and conversion rates for text were much higher than for its email subscriber base. For example, in a text message, a person who opened it and clicked on the message, roughly 9% of those shoppers went on to buy something, which is a pretty high conversion rate, and higher than TeePublic's email conversion rate, which is roughly about 4%. TeePublic says a lot of this success is because shoppers are more likely to check their text messages rather than their emails. Plus, in an email inbox, TeePublic has to compete with all the other promotional emails that shoppers have subscribed to. A lot fewer retailers have developed text programs, so it is not competing as much with other retailers. Plus, shoppers may passively sign up for an email program, but they are not likely to give up their phone number to a business unless they really want that communication. And TeePublic, besides marketing, also uses texting for sending shopper order confirmations and information on shipping details and for responding to shoppers' questions. So after seeing these positive results, TeePublic realized that texting for customer service was just a natural extension of its marketing program, especially when TeePublic noticed that when it sent a marketing text, shoppers began responding to them. As you can see here, people are just excited about the promotion and sending emojis and thanking them. So what it did was it linked their texting marketing program to its customer service software program. So if a shopper responds to a TeePublic text with questions like, I can't find my coupon code, or where is my order, a customer service representative can then answer that shopper in real time. This feature is convenient for shoppers because they're already on their smartphones communicating with the brand. So TeePublic, they're a bit further along in these alternative communication channels and is finding that they can be used in multiple ways for both marketing and customer service. And customer communication channels can take many forms, like Stephanie said earlier on, and a lot of that is via chatbot. And even within chatbots, those can be enhanced in many ways. Some retailers are doing chatbot-like assistance that can help define the right product for you. So at PreziBox, what they are doing is called a gift wizard. And PreziBox.com is an e-commerce site based in the UK, and they focus a lot of their products on gifting. So last year they implemented a gift wizard to their site, which is essentially a chatbot. A shopper clicks on the gift wizard icon on the homepage and selects if she is shopping for a man or woman, her relationship to that person, such as a brother or a husband, and the recipient's interests. She can choose from pre-selected interests like food or drones, or type in whatever she wants. And then the tool factors all this information in and shows the shopper a list of recommended products. It's simple enough, but it is helping with conversion. PreziBox says that a shopper who uses the gift wizard converts at a 4% rate compared with the site's average 2% conversion rate. So if you're a retailer out there and thinking that this is a bit beyond what you were thinking of implementing, that text marketing, texting with store associates, natural language, Facebook Messenger chatbots, gifting chatbots are just a bit out of scope for you, there are still other ways that you can improve your customer communication with what you might already have in place. For example, live chat on your e-commerce site. Many merchants have this. Has that been improved recently? Can it cater better to your shoppers? Gembara.com recently made enhancements to its live chat. Gembara sells a lot of high-end jewelry pieces and a lot of engagement rings that are being shopped for, by not the recipient. The shoppers on its site are the ones that are not going to have the product. They're shopping for someone else. So Gembara decided to use this knowledge about its shoppers and all the times that you go to research this type of product to their advantage, and made its live chats more personalized. For example, if the shopper is on an engagement ring page with an amethyst stone and it is the shopper's first visit to the page, the live chat, they're not going to be too selling with it. The prompt may be, did you know that most amethysts come from Brazil? However, if it's that 8th visit to the page, the live chat may be more like, are you ready to pop the question? So really kind of tailoring it to the shopper that is on your site right now. And here's a look at how leading retail chains using communication to keep their shoppers up to date on their online orders. So this is data from Internet Retailer's 2019 Omnichannel Report, which a few of you will win later this webinar, but of course you can all purchase it. It's a great report. And in this report, we identified 10 large retail chains that have robust omnichannel capabilities. And it's your usual suspects: Target, Walmart, Home Depot, Nordstrom's, Macy's, Kohl's, etc. And we put them to the test with mystery shopping 2 of their stores. So we had many metrics that we looked at and came up with an overall composite score for each retailer, but I pulled this data out of it for this webinar, which is looking at their communication, and I'll just go through it here briefly. So 100% of the retailers provided directions in the confirmation email on where to pick up orders in stores, which is great news. Shoppers don't want to have to wander around the store, even though I'm sure retailers would like them to, but the point of buy online, pick up in store is convenience. So making it convenient for shoppers and letting them know where to go is great. 20% of the stores provided store coupons in the email confirmation receipt, which is kind of a missed opportunity for merchants. If you want shoppers to come into the store and buy something extra, give them a little incentive. like with the store-only coupon. We were surprised only 20% of the stores that we looked at did this. 100% of the retailers sent out an email when their order was ready for pickup. Great, keep shoppers updated. 80% of the retailers designated an alternative pickup person to pick up the order. This is a great feature that if retailers don't have, they should really consider. Allowing a spouse or child to pick up an order really can be a time saver and convenience for shoppers. 100% of retailers sent a text message when the order was ready. Great. 100% had a dedicated online email receipt letting them know when and how to return the product. Again, probably not something that retailers want or return, but just good to have that information right there so shoppers don't have to go search for it or call customer service. Just give them the answer right there. Be proactive about it. And 85% of the stores let the shopper know the last day for a pickup before the order would be canceled. Again, a great feature letting shoppers know how much time they have. So that's just to give you guys an idea of how we benchmark what leading communication looks like from an omni-channel perspective from the leading retail chains. So that closes my presentation, and we are going to go dive into our question and answer session with Cindy from Plow and Hearth.
Thank you, April. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing? Now, Cindy, I know email is a big workhorse for you guys, and as we saw earlier from Stephanie, that really resonates with shoppers. They like it. Can you tell us a little bit about your email program and how it's evolved over the years?
Sure. Well, I took over the email program here at Plow and Hearth and their family of brands back in 2011. So at that time, the email program was super basic. There was no customer service communication, real segmentation. There was just a welcome automation, and that was pretty much it. We learned pretty quickly that acquisition and behavior-based automation is really where the wins are. So I focus most of my energy there, finding new ways to introduce automation wherever I can and find areas for improvement in our current programs. I think we hear the word personalization or individualization quite a bit these days. Depending on your product line or industry, this could be many different things. Our focus this year is really finding out what personalization efforts have a positive return on our investment with real reasonable level of effort.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. You mentioned segmentation. I know you guys have done a lot of work there. Can you talk about some of those successful strategies that you've seen?
Sure. So I think first and foremost, deliverability is the most important. So I know many people ask what that looks like, and I don't know if there's really a magic answer or strategy for that, honestly. Buyer cycle, frequency of purchase, the industry do matter and make a difference. So I would say you have, of course, test into what works for you. The ISPs are definitely paying more attention, and so I think we need to as well. Strategically, less obvious, segmentation has been the most successful for our day-to-day campaigns. An example would be more on like average order value to perform, just seems to perform better overall. That customers like to see things in their comfortable investment range, and they do perform better that way. We really haven't had a lot of success so far in category level, just because of the nature of our business. I think if you were in apparel, then that might be a different story. But for us, just because you bought an outdoor patio set doesn't mean you wouldn't go buy a pair of boots or a can of peanuts.
Yeah, for sure. So I've just heard through other editors here that you've done some cool things with automated trigger emails. Can you maybe tell me and our listeners today more about that?
Sure. If you have all your basics covered, there are some really cool advances in automation. One of the newest ones we introduced last year is called the Shopping Elsewhere campaign, and we've seen really good success there. For those that aren't familiar, we're actually able to identify the exact moment one of our email customers is opening in their inbox, even if they're not our email specifically. When this happens, we fire off an email to them at that exact moment. We use this specifically for re-engagement, and open rates are really great. We specifically target customers who have fallen off our engaged segments and are no longer being mailed our daily campaigns. So not only does it perform well for conversion, but also the open confirms the address is worth mailing, i.e. not a trap, and resets the data blast open. It's kind of like an acquisition in our own file. Then activation and reactivation campaigns have been a place of focused energy. A couple years ago, we spent time offer testing and watching individual segments to determine when it was best to message them and what offer was the most relevant in their life cycle. This seemed like a daunting task, but there's really some creative ways with dynamic content and smart templates that we're able to make this happen. Earlier, I mentioned the basics, so I want to touch over those really quick for people that are just kind of starting out. Obviously, cart and browse, if they're not there, you should work on that. Test your way into when to give an offer, when not to, deployment times and cadence. Birthday and anniversary of first purchase or sign up. Obviously, your new to file or the welcome program is key. If you aren't doing on-site messaging, you should be doing that as well to help with any type of acquisition or just re-engagement programs that you have.
Right. So today Stephanie and I talked a lot about these new communication channels like enhanced live chat, SMS marketing, chatbots. What do you think about all these?
I think they're all really viable communication channels. I love the idea of integrated SMS as part of automation efforts and for use in the retail stores. I do have my concerns around chatbots and how well the artificial experience will perform, though.
Which of them interest you the most or think you would resonate best with your audience?
I think it's really hard to say without testing. I think SMS and Facebook Messenger have the most potential for our audience. We already know about 8% of them are using SMS or Facebook Messenger for order tracking notifications, so it seems like a good place to start. There are new platforms out there that allow integrated multiple communication channels into your automated message programs. I could see this being very successful as an additional touch point or great for relevant communication. We have retail stores as well and could see this being great value for acquisition and customers looking for more information on products and such. I guess that's where fencing comes into, right? It all just kind of runs together at this point at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, for sure. And which of them, because not everything's going to work for everyone, we're kind of chatting about everything here, but which of these, do you think would not be the best fit for you guys?
Plow and Hearth really strives for a family-friendly way of doing business with a very personable approach in our retail stores and our customer service touches. It's important for us to experience our customer and relate to them. One way we've done this by keeping our customer service team here in Madison, Virginia, and not outsourcing it elsewhere. We want to be sure our customers feel like someone truly cares on the other end of the communication. I'm not sure how a chatbot would do that. I would be nervous it would not feel as human and authentic as we would hope. I think the verdict's still out on that. Yeah,
no, for sure. But kind of with that, what improvements are you hoping to make to your live chat?
Sure. So I hear about 44% of online consumers say that having questions answered by a live person while in the middle of an online purchase is one of the most important features a website can offer. We are in an industry where cart abandonment rates are high and customer urgency is incredibly fleeting. Anything we can do to reduce the resistance is a good thing. Our live chat has room for improvement for sure. I would love to bring in that family-friendly experience where chat can act like a personal shopper or a friendly person ready to help. A simple "how can I help you" message could go a long way, I think. I believe a few years ago, shoppers might not have liked this type of messaging, but today I think it's welcome. I do think it's important to make sure that the agents or bots are trained properly for this and to test into it when it is most relevant to outwardly contact your visitors.
Right. So what innovation communication channels are you keeping your eye on for 2019?
I think social messenger, specifically Facebook, could have some strong potential if done correctly. It's an area we're looking at closely right now. I also think given the success of voice technology, all marketers need to keep their eye on that as well.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's definitely an emerging platform. All right. Well, thank you, Cindy, for all of your insights. We definitely appreciate you being here, and I'm sure our listeners might have some more questions for you during the Q&A, which you guys can ask at any time. But first, we're going to go hear from Chris at Bold 360. Chris, take it away.
Thank you very much, April, and some really great conversation there that you have with Cindy and some great stats and information that Stephanie shared earlier. So lots of great information I think already provided. So what I'd like to do with some of the time we have left before we open it up to some questions, which I hope everyone's kind of putting in right now, is briefly touch on a little bit from the technology side of it and how organizations should be looking at it across kind of the customer journey. And this is something at Bolt 360 that we're very kind of passionate about when working with our customers. So really what we've seen in customer engagement today or customer experience today, right, is that a lot of companies that are pouring money into technology that tends to support kind of a singular piece of the customer lifecycle or the customer journey, rather than kind of taking a full assessment of how you're engaging with your customers across the time, whether they're in their discovery phase, whether they're in kind of pre-purchase or during your purchase or coming back for support, becoming an advocate for you. And really a large component doing it successful and not just acquiring customers, but helping to retain them and drive additional revenue from them is really, from what we've seen, taking that kind of holistic view and understanding, okay, are we siloing? Are we giving our customers different experiences at different points? Are we kind of making it more of a very connected experience? Candidly, I think that often most of the money, and I think it's a lot of what was said earlier in this webinar speaks to some of this as well. A lot of this money tends to be put into the discovery, exploration, buying phase, right? Those acquisition and conversion states to bring customers in, and then there's sometimes a disjointed experience when you get to kind of the service piece of it. That being said, there are a lot of organizations that are doing it the opposite way, and when they get customers, they try and hold on to them for dear life. But as far as the acquisition side, they maybe don't know as much about it or aren't providing that as delightful experience. So really, if you think about it from our perspective, without that consistency across the life cycle and really understanding and giving a kind of a holistic journey, it's a problem for both sides, right? It's a problem for your customers from a disjointed customer experience, right? It almost feels like without maybe a consistent story, consistent message, consistent tools or technology, that they're dealing with two separate companies from one that maybe they engage with over, forward-thinking technology like SMSs and engaging that way, maybe through push notifications, to going to a support experience that is a really poor FAQ and some kind of back-end system where they can't actually reach a human, right? And that's a very disjointed experience for someone, right? You think, for the example, let's say a company is investing heavily in the acquisition side. You're constantly thinking about how well that we're presenting our product or service, right? Are we able to serve up the right information at a timely period on their journey, whether it's on our website or through email marketing or through social channels, right? You're anticipating their needs. And then all of a sudden they become your customer, they purchase something from you, and now maybe they need to return it or they have a question about it and they can't get in touch with a live human or they can't find information on your website. And it really does feel like, a rather large problem, and as Stephanie pointed to earlier, this can easily turn. There's so many places nowadays to purchase similar items or similar tools. It's pretty easy for someone with one poor experience to go and kind of pivot somewhere else. And on the other side of it, from the business side, not just potentially losing dollars, at aspects of the customer journey, there's also a poor ROI on your investment, right? If your business is very siloed and you're investing in different processes and technologies for all different phases of a customer journey, very disparately, you're really not getting the most value out of it, right? You're not turning your support tools into maybe a conversion or sales tool. You're not turning your sales technology into tools that can also help to support your customers, right? You're not learning from some of your acquisition strategies on how that can be implemented to re-engage with your customers. So again, having that vision and understanding and then going out and looking for tools that will enable this kind of larger, well-rounded view of your customer is very important. And the piece of it that we're obviously comfortable speaking to is really that technology side of it and using a technology solution across the complete customer journey. So if you think about this, right, part of it is this kind of siloed information and not just from an experience for a customer. Siloing yourself from acquisition to engagement to service and support can provide other problems for just spreading out or keeping a consistent message from different touch points or individuals that are engaging with your customer. So one example, right, if a customer comes to your website and they're using it for chat, they're able to easily find information, maybe it's proactively popping up on certain pages, relative to that jewelry situation, that store that April was speaking to, right, and it's engaging with them there. But then if they purchase, maybe now all of a sudden you've pivoted to more of a kind of proactive pop-ups for them or push notifications. Maybe they've come back in a mobile experience and chat is no longer available to them, right? So it's not it's not necessarily kind of consistent. Maybe they have a problem with their order or delivery. Now the only way they can get in touch with you is through email, whereas to purchase it, they were able to chat with you. So really, it is somewhat difficult and problematic from that side of it. It's also at the same if you have these kind of siloed tools that your actual humans that are engaging with these individuals at different stages might be pulling information from all different sources, right? Not be providing consistent answers or consistent messages. I know personally I've experienced that multiple times where I needed help during a purchase and then went back post-sale, and it was a different team that I was speaking to, and clearly they were pulling answers from different, content management systems, and you're getting kind of two different sides. And as a customer, that's frustrating. I think that the example, and I really didn't get a chance to see some of this beforehand, but the example that April pointed to with TeePublic is a great one of seeing, okay, they had success with the SMS and they got a kind of a pull from their customers, and hey, this is a good channel of engagement, this is a good technology and solution we want to use, and let's pivot that and push it to the service side. So that's a good way of, maybe you weren't thinking originally about your purchase of technology or, installing these solutions, but being nimble enough to adjust to those needs of your customers. So to kind of give you a little bit more of a tangible example, here at Bowl360, this is kind of how we view looking at customer engagement with a single technology or a single solution. You have a much more streamlined customer experience, whether it's a prospect or a current customer, right? They have the ability to potentially self-serve on your website, right? And an easy transition to a human agent, where they'll get kind of the same answers, whether they were engaging with a bot or if they're engaging with a human, throughout that kind of entire journey. And all this bubbles up to those business insights, right? If you're using one solution and things are connected together, you can kind of understand where you can leverage learnings from one part of the customer journey to maybe drive more positive actions in another part of the journey. So personally, from the Bold side, we've actually, obviously drinking our own champagne, have stood up our own technology to support all these different phases of our customer journey. So we have a bot on our website for initial engagement that can escalate to a chat if needed, but really this helps our customers when they're navigating around our site to learn more information, to dive into some potential questions that they might have during any piece of it. We also use the same technology to support our actual sales individuals when they're engaging with our customers, or our support teams when they're engaging with our customers. So when they're stuck or they need additional information to answer questions from our customers, they can access this through a same singular tool, so they're accessing the same information that customers could potentially receive on their own, so they're getting a consistent experience. And then if you think about when a customer comes back for help, once they are customers, our support site is also enabled with the same tool and same technology, again, pulling from the same knowledge library, maybe contextually curated different information. But again, they have the ability to get that. And we can follow that customer through different points, and we can understand when our customer are engaging with us through the same analytics engine. It gives us this almost unfair advantage for seeing what different needs a customer has at different stages, and maybe how we can proactively leverage that later on. So we'll also know different deficiencies in areas. And the final thing is also that you can then share this data across different departments, right, and getting that holistic view of your customers, because maybe someone that's in service doesn't think, this piece of information would be valuable for acquisition, but you have someone that, is an e-commerce marketing person that thinks that this piece could be some piece of gold, and if there isn't that connection, you kind of lose that. So to wrap that part up before giving you a little more example, really the results that we see and that we speak to when we encourage customers to take this kind of full vision, whether it's with our technology or other tools, or maybe there are a few tools obviously that are specifically used for certain channels, but having the ability to connect together and still feel like a seamless journey for a customer. One, you have less wasted spending, right? Not just necessarily from dollars and investing in the technology, but also with resources and potentially knowledge of your customers, right? You're not wasting all that capital that you have kind of laying around. You also have customers that aren't going to be let down. Again, going back to that potential, if you're investing heavily in your acquisition side, only for them to become your customer, now you've spent all this money acquiring them and you haven't retained them, because, you know, they've gotten a poor support experience, right? Or they've gotten a poor experience when they've come back with a problem or a question. Or maybe they wanted to come back to purchase that item again and they're starting from scratch. Whatever it is, you're keeping that kind of similar journey and similar experience so that you don't let your customers down, right? They want that modern, awesome, personalized experience that they get across their interactions with you. And then the last one is, right, your business is just going to reap that benefits of loyalty. And as I mentioned, right, if you're able to get someone in delivering some amazing technology and you know, delivering a personalized experience, and you're able to maintain that level of experience throughout it, that loyalty won't just produce itself in additional maybe revenue or dollars from that individual, but also when they're going out to advocacy. You know, Stephanie was quick to point to, right, some of these customers will go out and tell friends or family or social media that they had this poor experience. But at the same time, a lot of these individuals that do have a glowing experience will go out and tell individuals as well. So you do have the ability to capitalize on that. So the last thing I want to leave you with before we open it up to some of the questions is an example from Edible Arrangements, one of our customers that's seen some great success in some compelling ways with Bold 360. So for those that don't know Edible Arrangements, you know, they are basically a provider of these, you know, taking the idea of a gift basket or flower arrangements, and what they do is actually they provide kind of fruit that are nicely cut up and they're on sticks and they're positioned. It's a very delightful a product to get, but a product like that, obviously, you know, it comes with a lot of seasonality, right? If you think about the holidays, you know, your Christmas time, Mother's Day, Valentine's Day, a few of these ones are their peak seasons. And so with a very kind of seasonal kind of customer revenue streams or seasonal volumes that they get, when they've hit into these peak seasons, what they tended to do, they'd have kind of all hands on deck. They'd have everyone in the company manning their phone lines and manning their chat. You know, from the bottom individuals all the way up to your VPs and CEOs are literally out there before Christmas, before Thanksgiving, before Valentine's Day, you know, on the line and dealing with customers. And I'm sure some of you are listening to and go, oh my goodness, I would not want our CEO or you know, VP of you know, whichever side engaging with our customers, right? They might like speaking to customers. This probably isn't the, you know, the point where they should be doing it. So they came to us with this business problem that they had, and they really implemented Bold 360 across that kind of customer journey. So as you could probably guess with their seasonality, there were a lot of basic questions that really were just repetitive in nature, right? Where can I get delivery for this? What would be time for this? Some questions about some of the particular arrangements that they have. What was included? What wasn't included? Questions about potential allergies, things like that, which are really, when your agents are responding to them, are pulling specifically from almost a script, right? So they were able to stand that up, our chatbot, to deflect those questions. And you see they were able to have an 86% reduction in that kind of live chat volume that came through because they were able to push off some of these questions that were very repetitive in nature and easy to answer, right? That customers wouldn't otherwise have had access to in such an easy fashion. But at the same time, by opening this up, you know, they've had more individuals. If you think about a head count, now that you have a bot that can handle all these incoming requests, they were able to open up a channel that allowed 50% more total engagements with their business, right? So they were decreasing 86% of chats, but almost doubling their engagements by 50% of customers that wanted to speak with them because it was so easy to get information, right? To contact their customers. And they were staffed appropriately that they didn't have to have a CEO on the line. They can work with the team that they had and didn't have to ramp up significantly to support these customers. And so what you had was the other percent of questions that were going through, that 14%, were much more complex, higher value interactions that tended to get to these agents who now had much more time to engage and really understand the problem with the customer and almost turn these kind of maybe support experience or questions into sales opportunities. And what they did see was a 10x return on investment from implementing our Bold 360 tool because they were able to leverage these engagements in a much more strategic fashion to really make sure that they were giving the customers exactly what they needed. So a really kind of successful implementation that they had, and following up on this, where they're actually going right now they're looking to do a lot more proactive and targeted interactions for customers, for returning customers, right? By knowing when a customer was previously engaging on a page, when they come back and knowing their past history, by using proactive chat to engage with that customer and serve up, oh, we know you purchased this for X and the Super Bowl is coming and this is similar to something that you purchased before. So not just proactively engaging them, but proactively and personalized engagement with the bot. And we've seen a lot of our customers doing this in a really great fashion with the bot, and then also having that kind of seamless handoff if needed to the human engagement. So maybe I have to have a conversation with Cindy after this and convert her to the way of some success with some of the bots. Yeah, hopefully this is just one highlight, and hopefully you got some good information out of this. And I'll turn it back over to April now to open it up to any questions we have.
Yeah, no, thank you, Chris. That was a really good presentation. I appreciate all of your insights. So yeah, let us dive into our Q&A period here. And again, you guys can see it, can still ask questions in the chat bot, and we will take as many as we can. So first up, sorry, just reviewing all of our questions here. The first question here is for Chris. Do you think AI can replace human agents in a contact center?
So I mean, this is probably the most frequent question we get from everyone, and I would say no. We see AI technology as something that really augments the humans, right? I strongly do not feel that AI is going to be replacing agents, but it makes them more efficient. As I was saying with that edible example, or many other ones, these teams tend to be overworked and overstaffed, and understaffed, overworked, and can't dedicate the time necessary to really giving the customer the type of experience that can best serve the customer, as well as potentially drive additional revenue. So if you're able to deflect some of those other kind of low-hanging fruit or triage things in advance, you can have a much better interaction with the human. So there's a symbiosis there, and it's definitely not an either or.
Right. Again, Chris, can you tell us if you've worked with any companies that were interacting with customers completely automated with no customer service numbers? What was the customer response from their customers?
So I'm trying to think if there was none. So I mean, there are businesses, I can't think of any offhand that we've had specifically without any customer service number. I do think that phone support is slowly going to go away in general. If you think about it, I don't think it's necessary for delivering good customer experience. You see businesses like Amazon that has done a great job with not having phone support and still delighting customers. Again, it also comes back to knowing your customer base. If you have a customer base that is willing to engage with you in a digital fashion, you can probably go that channel. But I can't think of any off the top of my head that have been completely automated without customer service numbers.
Yeah, I guess you kind of answered this other question that we got in about, do you think phone support will eventually disappear? So you think it will. I hope not. My husband's job is all about the call center support, so I really hope it sticks around. I'm not sure if you have any more color to add there, or if any of our other panelists want to chime in with what they think if phone support will eventually disappear.
Yeah, I don't think I have, and I wouldn't say it as immediately. I don't think in the foreseeable future it's completely going away. Though I think more and more businesses are starting to. You're seeing the significant drop off, and there was another study that I'd seen out there where businesses were projecting in 3 years, and they see their phone support probably decreasing by 30 or 40% from the channels they want to put forward. And I think a lot of it too is that a lot of IVR systems haven't delivered on some of the promises that were made to automate a lot of those experiences, and have caused actually a lot more frustration and backlash from customers. And so a lot of learnings from that have actually been leveraged in current kind of chatbots and virtual agents to not have to have people go through those kind of decision trees and stuff. So some learnings from there. I guess time will tell how long before it potentially, if ever, goes away.
Yeah.
And I don't think there will.
Yeah, anything to add there or no?
Yeah, I was just saying, I don't think that there is never going to be a call center agents. I think that there's always going to be situations that are unique and incredibly different. So I think personally, I think that there will always need to be some sort of, telephone support in some capacity, even if it's a bot, flipping it to that agent.
Right. Yeah. And Chris, for some of us that maybe are a little skeptical on the chatbot front, how do you guys define success with a chatbot, and what metrics are important there?
So that goes back to really the implementation that you're putting it in. If it is for the acquisition side, it is looking at potentially conversion rates, as well as obviously that tends to be one of the key metric you're going to potentially look at. We tend to see a lot more of it in the support situation, where deflection is obviously a key measure of success. There's handle times on the actual agent side, which tends to go up from it. So those are some metrics that people don't tend to understand. There's volume of engagement, right? So are you engaging with a new swath of customers now that you've implemented? And this is something that you saw when live chat became bigger years ago, that you'd just be able to engage with more customers. This again with bots. And then most importantly is making sure that customer satisfaction is not being impacted from it in a negative fashion, and potentially even going up for kind of getting those answers solved faster. So when we work with our customers, those are kind of, obviously we want to look on other metrics that they may possibly have, but those are the ones that we tend to kind of hone in on first, to look at how they should measure success, and kind of looking at that before and after on some of those measures.
Yeah. And just one more question here before we start to wrap up, but for the edible arrangement case study, what was the timeline needed to see some of that success?
So I think that so theirs was I think a 6-week kind of ramp time at the beginning, and we've seen implementations with our product, around 6 weeks. You could probably get out there pretty quickly and get up and running if it's kind of very targeted and you really know the use case you're going after. And then within kind of a 3-month period, you tend to kind of expand. So if you're looking to kind of move from this kind of human engagement to how can you automate or provide better self-service in the bot format, really it's understanding what are these targeted use cases we want to tackle first, and really solve those well. So right, what are those 3 or 4 things that take up 60 or 70% of your queue? Be laser focused on those, and you can get those up and running fairly quickly. Which is exactly what Edible was able to do in that kind of 6-week time period to get in before their rush season, and then move from there to really maybe start using it to develop additional customer relationship and drive other goals from either support or a sales side of it.
Right. No, that makes sense. All right. Well, thank you, Chris, Stephanie, and Cindy for your presentations, and to all of our audience for listening. There will be a replay of this webinar available. And now for the winners of our Omnichannel report, the following people won and will receive a follow-up email with the report. So Sandra Hunter, Jeff Silmer, Emily Kasich, Rick Kennedy, Kristen O'Shea, Paul Kirkpatrick, Tenica Hardin, Michelle Lambertus, Shell Parmelli, and Renata Akers. After we conclude, you'll see a pop-up window on your screen asking you to provide feedback on today's webinar. If you can, please take a few moments to fill this out. Your feedback helps us plan future webinar topics and understand what kinds of presentations work best. Also, please keep an eye out for our weekly emails to find out what other webinars we have planned, or visit digitalcommerce360.com to see our upcoming schedule or view our library of archived webinars. All right, thank you guys very much, and have a great rest of your day.